It's time for Inside the Trenches with Super Bowl champion and national champion Marlon Favorite. Get ready for the top stories in the world of sports and entertainment. Hello, somebody. It's Inside the Trenches. Let's go.
Well, hello, beautiful people. How y'all doing out there? I hope y'all had yourselves a great day. It's Inside the Trenches. I'm your host, Marlon Favorite, and I'm glad y'all are checking me out right here on ESPN New Orleans, 100.3 FM. Yes, indeed, it is OTA time here in New Orleans and across the NFL. So we're going to talk OTAs this segment. Later on in the show, we're just going to stick to OTAs. And for our listeners, this is a term that's thrown around a lot, and that's kind of what we're going to talk about this segment. OTA stands for Organized Team Activity. I know we say that a lot, but we don't really get into explaining what that is. So I will talk about that on today. We'll take a look at that. Later on, joining me in the show, we'll have Mario Jerez, ESPN's very own. Mario spent some time out there today at the Saints OTAs, along with CL Noel. I think we'll be able to get CL on later, too, so we'll double-check with that as well. I want to get those guys' observations of what they saw today at camp. What was it like in the D-line drills? How the O-line look? We got a youngster on the O-line right now, and Fuaga. How did he look out there? And, you have a team that is really developing and putting themselves in a position to try to gear it up because, let's be quite frank. It doesn't look super likely if we judging off of last football season, but this team is trying to legit make a Super Bowl run. So we'll kind of get into that, and we'll look at some of the regular season game touchdown scored later on in the show as well, look across the NFL as they drop that. But, y'all, I just really wanted to share a couple of OTA stories with you. My time in the NFL, I spent a large amount of time being on these teams for OTAs, right? Fall camp, may have been on a few teams during the regular season, but for the most part, most of my time was spent doing organized team activity. So, as we mentioned, that's what OTAs is, organized team activity. And during this time frame, a lot of things happen. Let's start from the top to the bottom. Okay, of course, this staff has just brought all of these drafted rookies in, undrafted free agent rookies that have coming in. Team guys that have, let's take a Cedric Wilson, for example, who has a 2-year contract. You bring a guy like him in as well to evaluate. This time from the top, from the Mickey Loomises of the world and, the team staff support, the coaching staff, everybody there evaluating every player. So even a guy that was like me, right, someone who was basically a journeyman in the NFL, spent most of the time being a camp body, things of that nature, even I'm getting evaluated. So it's a big eval time. For the players, it's levels to this, right? So me and my homeboy was chopping it up earlier about OTAs and what the guys get paid around this time. Like, some of this is mandatory, some of it isn't, right? It's mandatory for certain guys. So I had to kind of explain those elements. Now, the price range on this is a bit, or the price pay, should I say, is a bit dated because I'm talking in early 2010s. But my average check during organized team activity after taxes was like $800. So around New York, it's New York State tax was hitting you. So when I was with Buffalo, boy, that was, man, look, that Super Bowl money ran out quick, right? So you do look at that. You, as a guy that's a journeyman that's fighting to make a roster spot, you have to be there. Like, it's nowhere around that. You got to be there. Give you an example, big local news here. Alvin Kamara isn't at OTAs right now. He just had a new member to their family. He is training on his own. And, he has a lot of off-season things going on. That guy there, he don't necessarily have to be there, right? Because Alvin is what I like to say, a proven player. So he's already put up astronomical numbers during the regular season, and he's shown to come in shape. So a player like that, like when you start looking at the the Alvin Kamaras, even Eric McCoy to a certain extent, like guys who have basically been on the team now for just about the duration of a contract or two, which is 4 or 5 years, and then your second contract, obviously, in the next 4 to 8 years. So you start looking at those guys. I can remember when I was in Buffalo, it got expensive. Like those hotel fees went crazy. And Kyle Williams, my teammate from LSU, he's a guy like a Alvin Kamara type veteran on Buffalo's team at the time. I was like, well, Fave, I'm not going to be at my crib. You can just stay at my house. I'm going back to Louisiana with my family. I'm like, must be nice. Hitting the Life Jennings on him, right? Because for a guy like me, I have to be there. But Kyle is proven. Now, you do have this thing where you have veterans there. The veterans, particularly the guys that have the big contracts, they have workout bonuses in those contracts. So for some of those voluntary OTA practices, those guys come, but they get like, back then the numbers were like 60, 80K. So all these numbers I'm throwing around, you could basically multiply by 2 or 3 now because, I mean, since then the practice squad rosters have gotten bigger. You have even the veteran rookie wage differences, different than it was before. If you're a proven veteran, you'll have some time to be able to mention some of those particular schools, So I said particular schools. I meant to say some of those players, they'll have opportunities to decide whether or not they come to OTAs or not, right? You have some guys that are veterans on the team with big contracts, but they have a lot to prove. Now, in the case here in New Orleans, it's how could I say this? In New Orleans, you have a new offensive coordinator, a new offensive scheme being ran. So you think about a guy like Alvin Kamara, is it super important for him to actually be at these particular practices, right? So you look at it's really levels to this, right? It's on one end, everybody that's there right now, most of those guys won't be there after this first set of OTAs. Then you come back for the fall camp. It's going to be guys that's going to be cut right before fall camp. And then, of course, we know the cuts throughout fall camp as we trim the roster to the 53-man roster. And I think it's, 10, 12 guys they keep on a practice squad now. That's another thing that's changed. You can take a seasoned veteran and bring him in on your practice squad, pay him a decent wage, and then if one of your superstar players get injured for a couple of weeks, you pull that veteran, a guy that has an ample amount of playing time in his league in, and now you don't take a big drop. That's why I really appreciate, I understand OTAs and the value and what it brings, but I also appreciate like the XFL, right? I was checking out a couple of those games this weekend, and I'm seeing guys make marks on the defensive line. I'm seeing quarterbacks who had their shot in the NFL out of the NFL back in the UFL just to put that good film out there. And it also keep these guys in playing shape, right? Their season ends in June. So if a team wants to call you up for a fall camp, you have the entire month of July to recover, stay in shape like these guys are doing right now. It's Inside the Trenches. It's your host, Marlon Big Favorite. Thank y'all so much for taking the time to add this station to your dial and tuning into us on Mondays, 6 to 8 p.m. Hey, look, there's so much more we got to get into this show. As I mentioned, we got Mario Jerez come on. I think Mike just texted me. It looked like CL may come on. So if we don't get CL today, obviously we'll get him on our next show on demand. And we want to take this time also, baby, to thank Small Sliders, 1635 Barataria Boulevard in Marrero. Small Sliders, baby, putting smiles on the faces over here on the West Bank. Nice snack. You get your, if you're like me, you're going to get that biggie number 2. If you want to add bacon, do your thing. Give me a nice milkshake. And we'll be there during our normal remotes. And pay attention for some Small Sliders pop-ups, too. We're going to do some Small Sliders pop-ups this off-season. as well as we're preparing for the football season in the summer. But we'll be there this Friday from 11:30 to 1:30 p.m. DJ Tune on the ones and twos. We'll be streaming this episode with New Orleans Talk Networks. So much to get into. Also, summertime is here. Y'all know it's festival season. Be sure to text Big Fave, BIGFAV, to 94253. Again, that number is 94253, and you want to text the word Big Fave, BIGFAV. Get on that exclusive hot list to get passes to events we have going on. We talked about these pop-ups. What if we have a small slider special at the pop-up? I mean, it's just so much that we can actually get into here as well. Later on in the show, we will talk to you guys about our summer schedule. We are jumping into the summer schedule, so in the last segment, I'll get into that. I'm just going to say Monday live sets are going to be lit, and then we're going to have really great on-demand listens for you guys to check out on ESPN station. So y'all stay tuned. We're going to spend a little time here, talk more about OTAs. We'll look at, it's the off season. You know we love football talk. It's getting close, 2 months away. You know we're going to have to get into it. So we're going to look at some of the touchdown score. We'll take a look at a couple of teams' rosters. And as I mentioned, man, I can't wait to hear from those guys to see how the OTAs is rolling, baby. It's Inside the Trenches. I'm your host, Marlon Big Favorite. Y'all be sure to stick around. We got so much more to talk about. I'm so glad this is the time that I really had a chance to enjoy my NFL experience during OTAs. So I look forward to hearing from these guys' stories and see everything that's going on. Shouts out to Small Sliders one more time for sponsoring this segment. And y'all don't go anywhere. We'll be right back on Inside the Trenches, right here on ESPN 100.3 FM. Hello, somebody. Who that body?
Don't go anywhere. You're now tuned in to Inside the Trenches on ESPN New Orleans. We'll be right back.
Are you a student athlete looking to take your career to the next level? Look no further than Conquer Sports Pros. That's right, Conquer Sports Pros. Our team of experts will get you guys on the right path to your student athlete journey in life. That's right, we have every position in football you need, and we also help out with other sports. At Conquer Sports Pros, you have everything from a list of consultation, training, and also media training. Yeah, that's right, when you take your career to the next level, play college and hopefully pro, you'll get lots of interviews. Call Conquer Sports Pros today. You can reach them at 504-319-6672 or visit marlonfavorite.com for more information. Hello, somebody. Are you looking for your dream home? Well, if that's the case, you need to contact Joe Picolo at Godwyn Realty, right here in New Orleans. Joe can put you in your dream home right away. Joe Picolo and the folks over at Godwyn Realty put you in the house that you need. Even if you're looking to invest in some property, they'll do an excellent job with that as well. Contact Joe today at 504-251-8341. Again, that phone number is 504-251-8341. And also contact Joel at joel.godwynrealty.com. No need to dream anymore. Godwyn Realty will put you in the dream house of your reality. Hello, somebody.
It's that boy Fred, host of FanView Podcast. Tune into the NOTN app, weekdays, 3:30 for the FanView Podcast. Go to NewOrleansTalkNetwork.com to watch more episodes of FanView Podcast. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and watch.
Listen up. Your customers, our listeners, could be hearing about your business right now. Yeah, right now. Don't miss out on the opportunity to advertise with NewOrleansTalkNetwork.com. Call our business department today at 504-475-4793 to hear about our great rates. NewOrleansTalkNetwork.com. We provide the people, you provide the business.
Hello, somebody. It's Marlon Big Favorite with Inside the Trenches Podcast. Do you need a quick car wash? Well, if that's a yes, you need to visit Crown Car Wash, 1336 Stumpf Boulevard, Gretna, Louisiana, on the West Bank, baby. Crown's the best. You get a spotless wash, nice clean tires, reasonable pricing, and free vacuuming. My favorite part about Crown Car Wash, they open 24/7. That's right, 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. You can visit Crown Car Wash on the West Bank, baby. And let them know you heard about them on Inside the Trenches podcast with Marlon Favorite. Watch out there now. What's up, beautiful people? Thanks for tuning in to Inside the Trenches. I'm your host, Marlon Favorite. And y'all can check us out Mondays, 6 to 8 p.m. right here on ESPN New Orleans. And remember to check us out on demand if you go to ESPN1003.com. Click on the on-air tap button. You'll see Inside the Trenches, and you can check out all our episodes. And look, New Orleans Talk Network, all our full episodes are streaming on there. So you got your on-demand if you want to go to certain segments about the Saints. If you want to go to certain LSU segments, check out our latest interviews. You might have missed the Delvin Bro interview. You can check that out. You might have missed the Cam Jordan interview and our other interviews. You can check those out on demand. And remember, y'all hit me up on X at BigFave504. Hit me with your questions, what you want me to talk. If it's a certain thing you want me to talk about today, we could do it on any day. We could do it on our sets because I love to hear from you guys. And that is for sure, baby. All right. So I'm looking at Adam Wells' write-up released earlier today talking about Jamar Chase, T. Higgins, skipping out on the Bengals' voluntary OTA practices, and this all amidst their contract. As the Bengals begin their organized team activity on Tuesday, they will be out without Jamar Chase and T. Higgins. I'm reading past tense, right? ESPN's Adam Schefter noted that the Bengals star duos will not participate in the first days of voluntary OTAs as both players are seeking new contracts. Higgins' current situation has been well documented already off season. You know, we've been talking about this a lot on the show, you know, about the Bengals using the franchise tag on him, which will guarantee him $21.8 million to keep him as a free agent, so on and so forth. So that went on, and just to kind of skim down, once you start looking at Chase's deal, right now, looking across the league, okay, Conway reports on April 29th that Higgins was seeking a deal, 3 years worth $70 million contract. Michael Pitts Jr. signed with Indianapolis this offseason. So y'all see what goes on with this, right? And we'll look at Jamar Chase his information again, but y'all can go to bleachreporter.com. There's an article written by Mr. Wells. But what happens is, and this is the agent game too, ain't the league game, like it's the water roses with these contracts. You sit around and you look at your production, right? Like what you were able to do within y'all's contract. Now, T. Higgins signed, now correct me if I'm wrong on this, I think him and Jamar was in the same draft, but I know Jamar was a first round pick. I want to say they got T. Higgins in the second round. Or it might have been the year before, but we'll get into that here in a second. But you look at the value you bring to a team. You have two dynamic receivers. Currently, this roster can't do without them. I mean, they just can't. I mean, so these guys will get paid. You know, you got behind T. Higgins and Jamar Chase is Andrea Isolavis. I can't even pronounce his name right? Then you draft a guy in the third round, Jermaine Burton. You still have to develop him. So, I mean, a deal is going to get done. It's going to be about terms, right? Yeah, I know it. Less years, more money. More years, less money. Spread it out, you know, over time. So, like, if the shorter the contracts, more wiggle space, the players got. But y'all, make sure y'all hit me up at BigFave504. I would like to get y'all's feedback on these guys in their first two seasons with the team. So we're right, 2021 and 2022. Chase and Higgins both surpassed 1,000-yard mark and combined for 35 touchdowns. Right now, injuries had limited both guys, right? Y'all remember last year, this was like the coolest marketing deal I seen in recent years. Y'all remember last year when Jamar Chase told the people that they were that was interviewing him, they said, so man, what's going on? They were just asking questions. He was like, I'm open. I'm always bleeping open, right? So 7-Eleven said, bet, fam. So they went on and it was the next week, Jamar went on, set a franchise record in receptions. I think he put up like 192 yards and like 3-4 touchdowns. Like, he went crazy that week. So 7-Eleven did like I'm always open. We 7-Eleven, they partnered with Jamar Chase, made him chains. He even wore one of the chains in the game. And they did well in their merch. I say all that to say that was last year, right? So when both of these guys aren't injured or not dealing with injuries, they do exceptionally well. Chase deal comes with less urgency because he still has 2 years remaining in his rookie contract. This offseason is the first time he's eligible to sign a long-term extension. The earlier, the better. Now, check this out. One potential comparing factor is the Bengals, and Chase has suggested that he wait until Justin Jefferson signs his next contract, according to this write-up from Bleach Reporter. That makes a lot of sense. You look at two receivers. Okay, for all intents and purposes, Justin Jefferson right now is the best wide receiver in this league. Shouts out to LSU. Shouts out to St. Rose. Shouts out to my homeboy Justin, Jordan, his brother. That's fam. That's my peoples right there. I mean, just memories of both him and Chase. Right. For one, for Justin, my early days with CST games of the week. Man, back when Jericho and Jordan was coaching on the sideline for Desterham as assistant coaches, man, look, I knew that kid was going to be a star, right? Y'all know his story, gray shirt at LSU his first year and the national championship, and we've seen what he's done in the league, right? Put up Odell Beckham type numbers first 2 years, few years, should I say. Same thing with Jamar. That story dates. I'm doing funny story. This one, I'm doing door-to-door AT&T sales. So I'm in his neighborhood. Knock on the door. His dad, Jimmy Chase, come to the door. Man, don't you do games? The games of the week with Kasi? Man, what you talking about? So far, I can tell a story now that we're working with both of them. I'm like, man, come on, I want you to meet you're gonna be talking about him this year. So I met Jamar as a freshman at Archbishop Rummel. Quiet kid back then. He had to fade. Didn't say, but still don't say too much. But I mean, his dad had so much faith in him as a young boy, and to see what he's blossomed to me, you could say arguably second, maybe third best wide receiver in the league. Don't tell him I told him that because he's not number one. He's not better. He cocky, but it goes with it. So, like I said, the sense of urgency isn't fully there. And like I said, with T. Higgins' year, his sense of urgency is high, hence the reason they put the tag on him in the first place. But, I mean, this means a lot to us because, I mean, the guys we're talking about in this write-up, like Justin Jefferson, he's a native of the area. Jamar Chase, he's a West Bank, and y'all know how I feel about the West Bank, baby. So it's just cool to see these young men get their money, and it's earned. You know, you as I mentioned about the depth chart, you look at Cincinnati's depth chart, they need these two wide receivers. So a deal does get done. You do have, Joe Burrow's one of the highest paid quarterbacks in the league. You get his situation out. You got to take care of your star players. Now, it would be different if it was T. Higgins by himself dealing with this and you already paid Jamar. That would take a little bit of leverage from T. Higgins, if you ask me. But, again, he has the franchise tag on him. He'll get his payday. Now, why the long-term deals? Because it gets it out the way. You can plant your feet, right? Everyone knows the first contract is the prove it and earn it contract. These guys have put up the numbers to prove it, combined in both years, both in Jamar's rookie year and T. Higgins' rookie year. That these guys have put up the numbers. And at these positions, you got to do it now. You can't play around with this. You don't want to position yourself to, down the line, be dealing with injuries. Let's be honest. Low in production. Like, you start off, when you get your money, it's not like fall back. I will say this. The first year Michael Thomas got his money locally, the next year he put up crazy numbers, right? Ended up getting MVP on offense. So I just look at that from a perspective, not every receiver is like that. These are productive. I mean, Jamar Chase is one of the fastest players in the league. I think he got Xavier Worthy, he got Tyreek Hill. There was a couple other names. I don't have that list in front of me, but Jamar is on that list. He's one of the fastest guys. good route runner, can bust out a 200-yard game from the West Bank. Your New Orleans went to LSU. You know, you got to root for that, baby. Hello, somebody. It's Inside the Trenches. Thank y'all so much for tuning in. Remember, today's show is brought to you guys by Small Sliders, 1635 Barataria Boulevard in Marrero. Y'all check us out weekly. We do remotes there. Hit up my Twitter. I'll make sure I put that on the Instagram and Twitter where we're going to be at with our pop-up remotes. I told y'all we're going to have so much fun this summer. I'm set June 8th to perform with Partners in Crime, Hot Boy Ronald, Cupid Shuffle. You're going to have Brassaholics and many more out at the first annual New Orleans Block Party Music Festival. It'll be at Broadside. So we'll be out there having ourselves a good time. We'll have all the ESPN Inside the Trenches shirts and a couple of the Hello Somebody shirts to get out to y'all. Like I told y'all, it's all about having a good time. Y'all make sure y'all stay tuned. Later on in the show, we'll be joined by Mario Jerez of ESPN New Orleans. Mario's going to talk to us about his observation at the Saints training camp. It looks like CL Nola, Inside the Trenches very own. He was out there as well. CL knew I want to know about that D-line and other parts of the team, so we want to get his observation. You know, he has his comments. He got his offensive tackle, which we've been talking about on the show all the time, so I definitely want to get CL's opinion on how those guys look. It's Inside the Trenches. It's your host, Marlon Favorite, right? Y'all don't go anywhere, baby. We'll be right back on ESPN New Orleans, 100.3 FM. Hello, somebody. Hello, somebody. It's Marlon Big Favorite with Inside the Trenches podcast. Do you need a quick car wash? Well, if that's a yes, you need to visit Crown Car Wash, 1336 Stumpf Boulevard, Gretna, Louisiana, on the West Bank, baby. Crown's the best. You get a spotless wash, nice clean tires, reasonable pricing, and free vacuuming. My favorite part about Crown Car Wash, they open 24/7. That's right, 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. You can visit Crown Car Wash on the West Bank, baby, and let them know you heard about them on Inside the Trenches podcast with Marlon Big Favorite. Watch out there now. Are you a student athlete looking to take your career to the next level? Look no further than Conquer Sports Pros. That's right, Conquer Sports Pros. Our team of experts will get you guys on the right path to your student athlete journey in life. That's right, we have every position in football you need, and we also help out with other sports. At Conquer Sports Pros, you have everything from a list of consultation, training, and also media training. Yeah, that's right. When you take your career to the next level, play college and hopefully pro, you'll get lots of interviews. Call Conquer Sports Pros today. You can reach them at 504-319-6672 or visit marlonfavorite.com for more information. Hello, somebody. Well, hello, it's Marlon Big Favorite with Inside the Trenches podcast. Are you looking for a brand new car? Or you're tired of what you're driving around in? Or you just need wheels? Well, if that's the case, you need to visit Montero Motors, 1512 North Causeway, Metairie, Louisiana. At Montero Motors, our buddy Alberto will get you in a vehicle that fits you that day with no problem. They have vehicles that are pre-owned. You can do a trade-in that day and ride off in something that day. Visit MonteroMotors.com for more information and let them know you heard about them on Inside the Trenches podcast. Hello. He has the heart of a champion.
Now New Orleans has a choice. Download the New Orleans Talk Network app for your mobile device or listen at www.neworleanstalknetwork.com.
What's up, beautiful people? How y'all doing? Welcome back to Inside the Trenches. It's your host, Marlon Big Favorite. I hope y'all had a great day. And continue to have yourselves a good evening. Remember, you can follow me at BigFave504 on X. Y'all be sure to put that inside the trenches in your everyday rotation. So go ahead and set that dial. Go ahead and set that dial right now to 100.3 FM if you hadn't done so already in the New Orleans area. And check us out. I mean, we got great shows here. You have Sports Hangover with Gus Cadengale. You know, we go out to Baton Rouge in the morning with T-Bob and Hester on their Off the Bench show. And then, of course, Matt Moscona after a further review. And then y'all make y'all way on here for Inside the Trenches. So continue to make us as y'all daily listen. And we appreciate you guys in an awesome way. And right about this time, I think it's time to do 5 with Fave, baby. 5 with Fave, where we find 5 interesting topics and talk to you guys about it. This 5 with Fave is Saints related, right? I was just thinking, as I mentioned to you guys a while back, I feel like this Saints defensive line has some potential, but do the potential goes to a part to where they can have a top 5 defensive line? Could they? I mean, let's think about it, right? You have Chase Young now on the roster. He's a decent pass rusher. You saw him even when he got traded from Washington, how well he did with the 49ers. Cam Jordan, who's a sack master in our league, right? With Cam, I mean, it's typically easy money, right? He start the stacking, do the whole stacking thing with the hands. That's stacking up them sacks, baby. But before we get into, do the Saints have an opportunity to fall into that top 5 deal? And I think the opportunity is there. Let's take a look at the production from last year. I think it's important to look at the guys that were on this roster last year and how well they did. Now, you have to be in the game to do your thing. I like how they run. That's really cool, wasn't it? And what I feel like when you look at the number of snaps some of their most productive players last year had, Carl Granderson had 874 snaps. Cam Jordan had 771. Nathan Shepard had 594. Right under him, which is very interesting, is Brian Bruzy at 539. Now, 539 snaps. Brian Bruzy racked up 4.5 sacks. He had, I want to say, right at double-digit number of tackles for loss. So from that perspective, you have a guy that you drafted last year being able to be productive. I think that piece goes further than we, could imagine, right? I think if you look at where he plays, these next 3 guys I'm going to mention, Nathan Shepard, as I just talked about, Brian Bruzy, and Khalid Saunders, these are your interior linemen that's still on the roster. If these guys could average, let's say by December, if each of these guys have about 4 or 5 sacks, the Saints may potentially be in the top 5 of defensive lines. And we'll take a look at some of the top lines last year and going into this football season. Of course, the football season coming to us soon. Those guys, these lines are projected, right? These are projected top D lines. But if your interior line has those type of numbers, you do the math. Remember, Brian Bruzy was rotating in, right? If Khalid pulls off 4.5 sacks, let's say, for instance, Nathan Shepard gets 5 and Bruzy does 5 again, you're looking at 14.5 sacks just from your interior line. Cam puts up his normal double-digit numbers. You rotate Chase Young in on some third downs to be productive. On just about all the third downs, you go to a jet package. CL are like this when you bump Cam Jordan on the inside. You basically put your best rushers, your faster guys in. Those numbers can go up. Coach Allen and his staff has a little more breathing room. We talked about last year's numbers. 2023, this wasn't the Saints' best season, right? But in regards to the 5 with Fave topic, will it have that opportunity to be considered one of the top 5 defensive lines? I mean, yeah, right? If you can have 8.5 sacks, I'll call Carl Granderson again. You have a linebacker in Demario Davis who has 6.5 sacks, which is an excellent number for a linebacker. So that team production, we talked about Brian Bruzy and his 4.5, which is technically 5, right? But one of them was a half a sack. Nathan Shepard had 3. Tahu Passanu had 3.5. Cam Jordan and Zach Baum both had 2 sacks, which last year, and Cam was very candid about talking about this. This was his first season. He played hurt. You know, there's a guy who's never played the entire season. So we know what a healthy Cam Jordan could do. And, you know, we sent our safeties a couple times. They got sacks, and then Foskey and Pete Warner had 0.5. So the production is there, but you also have to look at other productive lines across our league, right? I think when you look at a dog defensive line, you got to look at Detroit. Detroit is a team that, I mean, Aiden Hutchinson, he'll bust off a double-digit sack year like that, right? You know, you look across the league, look at Cleveland with Myles Garrett and Shelby Harris, Delvin Tomlinson, Zadarius Smith. Like, these are guys that get after. We was talking about the Detroit team. They run that 4-base defense. Now they got Marcus Davenport. Go figure. But DJ Redder has always been pretty productive in our league. Indianapolis got a big-time defensive line led by DeForest Buckner. That's why I say you look across the league at other units. Let's not go out to Vegas, right? The Raiders, you got Max Crosby, Wilson, Christian Wilkes. Yeah, I remember Christian Wilkes' production has been pretty decent in our league as an interior lineman. Guy was a dog at Clemson. You know, but Max Crosby, one of the top linemen in our league. San Francisco, you got Javon Hargrave, you got Nick Bosa. Nick Bosa will give you 13 sack season. Malik Collins. You know, I'm looking across the league and looking at some of the things that the Saints will have to do that. You look at a team like Philadelphia. They run a 3-4 defense, but you have 2 dog of a defensive lineman, 2 first-rounders, and Jordan Davis and Jalen Carter from Georgia. You look at Green Bay line led by Rashad Gray. I mean, you have some guys that can get her done, right? So I think in order for the Saints to get in that mix, you have to get heavy production on your interior line. I mean, at least 4 sacks a guy. Y'all want to take a wild guess? Gus gonna like this one. Y'all want to take a wild guess at who? According to, now this is just FTNFantasy.com. This isn't a credible. I'm not saying that they're not a credible source. It just isn't one of the news. Like, I'm just saying CBS Sports not dropping this. That's all I'm saying, right? I'm just kind of scrolling the net, looking at different. Now, the Cowboys have been on a lot of top people teams, but I mean, you got DeMarcus Lawrence, you have Osa Adugu, you also have Mason Smith, which I'm knowing the Saints snagging him if he was still sitting there last year. But Brzee was top, you know, he was one of the third D tackles I thought would come off, and probably one of the more electrifying edge rushers, kind of bring back that Lawrence Taylor feeling, and Michael Parsons. So, yeah, the Cowboys, we see them week 2. That would be an interesting matchup. But it starts right now in OTAs, baby. That's where it starts. We'll have Mario Jerez join us on our next segment to talk about the Saints' practice today. We'll see if I can get Mario to stick around in hour 2 as well to give us some observation along with CL Nola. But this is where it starts. It starts in OTAs, seeing what you got from rushers. And the Saints' defensive line has so much potential. Cam will give you 10-plus sacks a season. If Carl Granderson come out with the same type year he had, let's say he do 8 again, that's 18 sacks right there. You know, bring down the other 14 sacks. Now you're up there with those top-tier teams. You're in a position to where you are being, like, if you putting up those type numbers in your front room, I mean, we're talking about between 30 to 40 sacks as an interior line. That means that's a lot of 3-and-outs because the percentage of passing is very high on 3rd and 12 plus, right? You have I heard Warren Sapp say this the other day. He said, defense don't win championships no more. They put you in a good position. He said, a dog at quarterback win championships for you now, right? So you put your quarterback in a better position to be successful when it's more 3 and outs. It gives more snaps to the offense. You want to win a turnover battle. I know we talk about sacks a lot, but when you're looking at a top 5 front, you have to look at overall production, tackles for loss. How did you affect the passer, right? Did one of your pressures create a turnover, whether interception or a forced fumble? Like, we start seeing that type of production. Getting sacks are good, right? Because they add yardage loss, right? Momentum shifts. Like, all that plays a role. You hit the quarterback, he kind of looking over his shoulder, so he may try to get the ball off quicker. It's so many different things you have to, and variations you have to look at. But I do think the Saints have potential to do that, but they have to come with those type numbers across the board. It's Inside the Trenches, baby. Y'all tuning in right now. We appreciate y'all. Hey, y'all remember, be sure to hit that hot list. As I mentioned before, text Big Fave to 94253. This was 5 with Fave. Just wanted to talk about, could the Saints have a top 5 defensive line? And it is possible. Y'all don't go anywhere. We'll have Mario Jerez join us next here on ESPN New Orleans. Hello, somebody. Are you looking for your dream home? Well, if that's the case, you need to contact Joe Picolo at Godwyn Realty, right here in New Orleans. Joe can put you in your dream home right away. Joe Picolo and the folks over at Godwyn Realty put you in the house that you need. Even if you're looking to invest in some property, they'll do an excellent job with that as well. Contact Joe today at 504-251-8341. Again, that phone number is 504-251-8341. And also contact Joel at joel.godwynrealty.com. No need to dream anymore. Godwyn Realty will put you in the dream house of your reality. Hello, somebody.
Now New Orleans has a choice. Download the New Orleans Talk Network app for your mobile device or listen at www.neworleanstalknetwork.com.
Hello, somebody. It's your boy Marlon Favorite. And when I'm hungry, I like to make my way to Small Sliders, 1635 Barataria Boulevard, Marrero, Louisiana. Simple, on purpose. When I tell you their burgers are delicious, have some great sauce on them, I'm telling you, when you're just hungry and just need to grab a quick bite, this is the perfect place for you. Small Sliders. The customer service is nice. It's somewhere you can bring the family, hang out and chill, enjoy the atmosphere. Now, I'm a big boy, so when I like to take my Small Sliders, I like to get the biggest smalls. Double patties, bacon, cheese, you name it. Just a delicious burger. And I like to top it off with my favorite, the cookies and cream milkshake. There are 3 delicious flavors: milkshake, chocolate, vanilla, and cookies and cream. Small Sliders. Simple on purpose. Y'all come on and slide through, baby. And let them know that you heard about them on Inside the Trenches with your boy Marlon Favorite. Watch out there now.
Listen up. Your customers, our listeners, could be hearing about your business right now. Yeah, right now. Don't miss out on the opportunity to advertise with NewOrleansTalkNetwork.com. Call our business department today at 504-475-4793 to hear about our great rates. NewOrleansTalkNetwork.com. We provide the people, you provide the business.
Hello, somebody. It's Joel with Godwyn Realty, and you're now tuned in to Inside the Trenches on ESPN New Orleans.
What's up, beautiful people? welcome back to Inside the Trenches. It's your host, Marlon Favorite. And as promised, on the Small Sliders hotline, we have Mario Jerez, baby, ESPN New Orleans. He has the pod, Pels Kitchen. Y'all make sure y'all follow my brother Mario at Mario_E_Jerez on X. Mario, man, we got to get these Saints OTA observations out of you, man. But the first observation that seemed I got out of you, man, it's pretty hot out there, huh?
Yes, it is hot. I was just telling you before the show, man. I can't imagine being in pads, running, hitting right now in this heat because I am dying just from standing out there for the last hour. So, yes, sunny day, beautiful day, but definitely feeling the heat.
And, yeah, even this evening, man, it's still hot here. It's just, boy, I appreciate those days because of, like, you know, you're sweating off 7-8 pounds of, like, toxins and liquids out of your body. So the post weigh-in after practice always was light. So that was cool. But, you know, for those guys and even us reporters headed out there, you know, we had to make sure we hydrated.
Yeah, you got to, man. It reminds me of going to the D-line camp at Thibodeau back in the day. Ate, like, a bunch of pizza and cheeseburgers and other high-caloric food and still lost, like, 10 pounds. That's what these guys are going through.
That's exactly what's going on. So, Mario, let's dive right into it. Saints OTAs. The fans are excited for the season. Some new faces out there. But in terms of attendance, right, earlier today, any new faces out there? I know they had a lot of guys missing the first week of OTAs, but anybody showed up at practice that wasn't there last week?
I believe Jamal Williams may not have been here last week. That's the only name that's coming from the top of mind. Other than that, it looked a lot like it did last week. You know, the veteran guys that are always here, still there. Tyrann Mathieu, Cam Jordan, and I kind of like their behavior at practice too. The older guys seem to really be upbeat and bring the energy. But other than that, it looked a lot like it did last week. Still no Alvin Kamara. Still no Marshawn Lattimore. Would love to see Kool-Aid McKinstry out here, but he's not ready to go yet as well. So attendance-wise, still looks a lot like it did last week. But guys are in good spirits. Like the rookies, other guys that are kind of learning new roles seem to be a little bit more comfortable or playing a little bit more loose during practice. But attendance-wise, it looks very similar as it did last week.
Okay, when you look at the players, right, we have some new faces via draft. I'll start on the offensive line. This is Inside the Trenches. How Fuaga look out there today?
O-linemen looked good, all of them. Fuaga's a big boy, man. You definitely can see the first-round intangibles, or the measurables, I should say, when it comes to the Saints' first-round pick. But he's moving well. Trevor Penning's still running with the ones. A lot of questions about Trevor Penning, maybe the most important player for the Saints on either side of the football this season. So you know there will be attention on him. And Isaiah Foskey, actually, from what I saw, had a good day today. Towards the end when they were doing the team drill, 7-on-7, whatever it was, he got a sack against Spencer Rattler, or it would have been a sack at least. You know, no contact in these practices. But offensive linemen, at least out there and healthy. We talked about kind of the shuffling they're doing last week with Penning and Fuaga being out there. But amongst the defensive linemen, I would say Isaiah Foskey had a good day, and hopefully it's something that replicates in the games this season.
Yeah, last year when we look at Foskey coming on his team, he had like a sack record coming from Notre Dame. We wanted to add some more pass rushers on our roster, but he was a little slow to catch on to the speed of the NFL. We didn't really start seeing him get snaps till towards the end of the season. Even though he did record a half a sack last year, that's still production and that still builds his confidence. I'm going to stay along that defensive line. I am excited for year 2 of Brian Bruzy. I mean, last year, 4.5 sacks for interior lineman, a former interior lineman. Those numbers are really decent. Your thoughts on the interior line, starting with Brian Bruzy?
Yeah, I think it's okay for Saints fans to be excited for year 2 of Bruzy. Somebody who really stands out immediately. Post of on Sports Hangover, we're talking before practice today, and said, you know, a lot of people say you can't learn too much from these practices, but you can quite literally see how the team looks, right? Like what guys are in good shape, what guys are maybe not in good shape. packages introduced that maybe weren't there last year, personnel grouping, things like that. And just looking at Brian Brzee, he really stands out. You see the size that got him the production that he got last year, and now coming into year two, I think his fundamentals will be a lot better. I think you'll see the Saints be a little bit more creative with Brian Brzee. And we're not seeing too much of that during OTAs, but interior stunts, moving him around a little bit, showing off a little bit more of his athleticism now that he has the technique down a little bit coming into year two. I'm really excited for Brian Brzee. We were just talking about Foskey. Hopefully he makes any kind of impact after making very little as a rookie. But Brian Brzee is somebody who had a good rookie season, who can have a really big jump in production in year number two. I'm excited to see how the Saints utilize him, hopefully a little bit better here in his second year in the NFL.
I thought it was very interesting how they had the rotation last year on the front line defensively. You had Carl Granderson had probably the most productive year of his career here in the NFL. You started your veterans, so you went with Saunders, you went with Shepard, and you had Brian Brzee rotate in on that defensive line. So I thought that was key. And then last year, from a technical standpoint, it wasn't the best year for Cam Jordan in terms of sacks, but he impacted the game so many different ways. He impacted it from the perspective of being able to make the ball bounce the other way, holding his point on the run game, so on and so forth. So I thought he did a good job. If y'all are just tuning in, it's Inside the Trenches with your boy Marlon Big Favorite. Joining me on the Small Sliders Hotline, I have Mario Jerez. Y'all make sure y'all follow Mario on X at Mario_E_Jerez. I just technically earlier today, Mario had put out some content of the Saints practicing and looked hot through the pictures on my X, so I reposted that. So if you want to not get sunburn like some of the other folks out there attending, you can always check out Mario's Twitter, and he will get you on point. Mario, I want to stay along the defensive line. Christian Boyd, we drafted him in the 6th round this year. He has the size you look for in an interior lineman. He comes from a smaller school. How is he adjusting to the speed of the NFL based off the practices you saw?
Oh, man. He looks pretty good out there, at least so far. Like I said, I think once we get closer to, mandatory mini camp, training camp, we see a little bit more diversity with the defensive coaches and what they're calling. You'll learn a little bit more. But so far, he's looking pretty good, looking like he belongs. And we were just talking about Foskey. There will be more reps for a lot of these young guys, I think, with some of the people that the Saints let go. Zach Bond came on a little bit towards the end last year. He's not with the Saints anymore, signing with Philadelphia. So I think specifically when it comes to pass rushing, those third down packages, there will be some opportunity, maybe even for a guy like Boyd. So I'm excited to see, hopefully, he step up and earn some reps along this defensive line. I think you can count on a much more productive season from Cam Jordan this year. I think the injury misfortune was just a little bit too extreme last year. That being said, he is getting towards the end, and some of these young guys are going to eventually have some opportunities. So hopefully that starts this season with guys like Boyd at the defensive end position.
I do care about that rotation, just being on some really good defensive lines throughout my career. That's one thing that was helpful even for your superstar players, and mainly for the coaches, when you can have 8 to 12 guys you can rotate in on a defensive front, and the skill set don't drop down. I think when you look at it from that perspective, that's something that's super important. In addition to not only the aspect of production up front, you want to make sure that you pair the right groups together based off of how the game is going. So you may start off with your starters, right? Let's say, for instance, this year, Cam Jordan, Carl Granderson, Saunders, and Shepard, right? But it may be some parts of the game where it's probably good to have, might be heavy run in the middle, so you might want to bring in like a Brian Bruzy and a Khalid Saunders just because those guys are beefy. Hey, well, it's Inside the Trenches. We have Mario Jerez on the line. We're going to wrap this hour, but Mario going to stick around with us. And this time, we're going to talk a little bit about the coaching staff, how they're adjusting. Some of them have to adjust to the heat. It's a little hotter down here in New Orleans, huh, Coach? And we're going to spend a little time on some of the superstars on offense. Y'all don't go anywhere. We'll be back with another hour of Inside the Trenches right here on ESPN New Orleans. Hello, somebody. Watch out there now.
It's your girl Spice Divas, the marketing diva, and you're tuned into Inside the Trenches with my boy Marlon Favorite on ESPN 100.3 FM New Orleans. Hello, somebody.
Well, hello, it's Marlon Big Favorite with Inside the Trenches podcast. Are you looking for a brand new car? Or you're tired of what you're driving around in? Or you just need wheels? Well, if that's the case, you need to visit Montero Motors, 1512 North Causeway, Metairie, Louisiana. At Montero Motors, our buddy Alberto will get you in a vehicle that fits you that day with no problem. They have vehicles that are pre-owned. You can do a trade-in that day and ride off in something that day. Visit MonteroMotors.com for more information and let them know you heard about them on Inside the Trenches podcast. Hello. Hello, somebody. It's Marlon Big Favorite with Inside the Trenches podcast. Do you need a quick car wash? Well, if that's a yes, you need to visit Crown Car Wash, 1336 Stumpf Boulevard, Gretna, Louisiana, on the West Bank, baby. Crown's the best. You get a spotless wash, nice clean tires, reasonable pricing, and free vacuuming. My favorite part about Crown Car Wash, they open 24/7. That's right, 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. You can visit Crown Car Wash on the West Bank, baby, and let them know you heard about them on Inside the Trenches podcast with Marlon Big Favorite. Watch out there now.
It's that boy Fred, host of FanView Podcast. Tune into the NOTN app, weekdays, 3:30 for the FanView Podcast. Go to NewOrleansTalkNetwork.com to watch more episodes of FanView Podcast. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and watch.
Listen up. Your customers, our listeners, could be hearing about your business right now. Yeah, right now. Don't miss out on the opportunity to advertise with NewOrleansTalkNetwork.com. Call our business department today at 504-475-4793 to hear about our great rates. NewOrleansTalkNetwork.com. We provide the people, you provide the business.
Now New Orleans has a choice. Download the New Orleans Talk Network app for your mobile device or listen at www.NewOrleansTalkNetwork.com.
Hello, somebody. It's Joel with Godwyn Realty, and you're now tuned in to Inside the Trenches on ESPN New Orleans.
Welcome back, beautiful people, to hour 2 of Inside the Trenches. I'm your host, Marlon Big Favorite, and my main man, Mario Jerez, decided to stick around for another hour. So we're going to start this hour off talking about Saints OTAs. This show is brought to you guys by Small Sliders, 1635 Barataria Boulevard in Marrero. Y'all come check us out live at Small Sliders weekly. We're there on Fridays. We do pop-ups throughout the week. Stay tuned to @BigFave504 for that, but we'll be out there every Friday for sure, 11:30 to 1 p.m. So Mario, man, earlier today, it was steaming hot out there at the Saints OTAs. A lot of y'all out there, a lot of us out there in the media just kind of felt for the players because it was a little hot, but, you know, we understand that at least our players getting in some good shape with the heat. Mario, in hour 1, as we wrapped hour 1, you and I talked about the defense a lot. We looked at some of the faces that were out there that there this week that wasn't there, like Jamal Williams. I want to go on the offensive side of the ball with you, and I want to get your observations of the wide receivers. We have a new group of star receivers in A.T. Perry. He's a rising star. Looks like he's in a heavy rotation with the starters. Chris Olave and also Rashid Shaheed. When you talk about those guys, Mario, how they look out there at OTAs to you?
Oh, I like how the wide receiver room is shaking up, man. Even with when you talk about building depth, you don't want to take too much away from the oohs and ahs of training camp. Some guys will shine and then not make the team, but guys like Cedric Wilson Jr. make some good plays with Derek Carr. Bub Means, the rookie, has really stood out in the first few days, and then the first three deep. I think the Saints are in pretty good shape. A.T. Perry, he did get accosted a little bit for fooling around during a drill by Clint Kubiak, the new offensive coordinator. He's way more vocal than Pete Carmichael was, but we could talk about that in a bit. I think AT, with the year in the NFL, getting some more reps, can be really productive for the Saints this season. This is a really speedy, really big wide receiver that put up great stats at Wake Forest and was really good in the preseason last year for this team. So I expect him to be productive this year. Rashid Shaheed, honestly, exceeded my expectations last season. I thought he'd be a little bit more of a gadget guy, somebody you get out in motion, but he's proven to be a really good route runner. And with some more rapport with Derek Carr, I think his second season as a starter could be a really productive one. And Chris Olave, I think almost a little underrated by Saints fans coming into his third season, Big Fave. I mean, this could be kind of simple, but this is the first time he's had the same quarterback, same NFL quarterback, back-to-back season openers, right? There was a little instability with Jameis Winston, Derek Carr. Now you have year two with Derek Carr, and everybody knows you're the guy. Like, the drama with Michael Thomas is over. He's not eating up targets anymore. Chris Olave will be featured in this offense, I think. And I think he'll be successful. If you look at what he's done already 2 seasons in, I think with the rotating door of quarterbacks, with the inconsistency on offense for the Saints, the numbers he's put up have been really impressive, and I don't see any reason for that not to continue in year number 3. The Saints definitely have some holes, but at wide receiver, I think they're in pretty good shape here on May 27th.
Well, or should I say May 28th. Shouts out to May 27th, though. That was me and my wife's anniversary. But, yeah, Mario, you make a good point. We are in May, right? At the end of May, OTAs are going to go through June. So if we're just judging from that time frame right now, in the moments we are right now for our listeners, coaches are looking at what type of shape guys are in. Like, what were you doing when you weren't with OTAs? Even with the young rookies, all right, you went through college. Let's see how you are here with the way we're speed and high tempo and able to go along. When you look at the next set of receivers, you have Cedric Wilson Jr., in my opinion, out of the guys you just mentioned, he falls into that group in terms of experience. And they put up some production out in Miami and, of course, at Dallas. He was in that rotation. You have Bub Means, college guy that I think is going to make some noise. And then, of course, St. Brown. When you look at that next wave of receivers that rotate in out of that group, what are those guys looking like at OTAs?
Yeah, you mentioned St. Brown. That's an interesting name. We all know about his brother, the Sun God in Detroit, one of the better wide receivers in the league. And this is a player who, I'm sure you remember him at college, was very productive for Notre Dame. Actually had a few big plays against LSU in the Music City Bowl, but for whatever reason has not been as productive as his brother in the NFL. That's an interesting name for me, somebody who has size. And we already talked about Bob Means. Every year there seems to be like a different young receiver that stands out. I think of Emmanuel Butler Jr. in the past. I think of Adrian Arrington. And like you said, we're in May 28th. Don't want to take too much. But if there's somebody from that crop of receivers that has stood out during these practices, it would definitely be Bob Means. And these practices are always really productive because Sean Payton used to tell a story a lot about Marcus Colson's first day of practice. He literally had trouble staying on his feet. Like, couldn't keep off the ground, learning to run these routes, learning the technique. But then day 2, day 3, once he got that stuff down, he was really shining on this level. So we've seen it before over there on Airline Drive, and the leading candidate for that right now would probably be Bub Means. So, like I said early, but like how the Saints are stacking up the wide out.
No, it's all good, Mario. You have a core group of wide receivers that have the capability. We know Chris Olave has the opportunity to be one of the top receivers in this league. Like, I can see Jamar Chase, Justin Jefferson. It depends on what Tyreek Hill you get. You know, you start going down a list of wide receivers. I think Chris Olave, with productive play at the quarterback position, which we'll get to that here next, will really put him in that category with those guys. We know what Joe Burrow's doing. You know, we can imagine what Stephon Diggs and C.J. Stroud is about to look like, Mario, when you start to think about other teams in their core groups. Quarterbacks. The quarterbacks. I mean, Spencer Rattler, I've been seeing a lot of his highlights. He's throwing those spirals. Looks very fit in that position. Derek Carr is being a good mentor to him as he's gearing up. I heard Coach Kubiak speak highly about Derek Carr and how he's really fitting into this offense. But when you look at that quarterback room right now, Mario, at OTAs, what's running through your mind?
So there's a clear pecking order. I think, Derek Carr, very polarizing in his first season, right? It feels like all the fans hate him. It feels like all the media are trying to be objective and coming to his defense. But I'll say that he looks more comfortable out there. And again, he's throwing on air, but he's interacting with guys when he's not in the drill. He's celebrating big plays. He's not coaching as many guys up. I think that maybe rubs some players the wrong way, where he would celebrate the good plays and not the bad plays. But Derek Carr, at the end of the day, looks a lot more comfortable. And he was by far the most crisp guy out there today. The timing, hitting guys in stride, that existed for Carr way more consistently today than it did for Painter or Spencer Rattler. Jake Haener, I think similar to Derek Carr, looks a lot more comfortable here in year two. Spencer Rattler, at least based on what I saw today, struggled a little bit. Big Fave. It was kind of like a PBU fest where it looked like he was making the right read, but he was just a hair too late. And it would result in throwing the ball at a guy's feet or getting the ball intercepted or getting the ball tipped. Spencer Rattler, you can see he has the talent, but definitely still getting the timing down. And then I think there's a clear gulf between him and Jake Haener, who I would say is the second string as of right now, and then Derek Carr, who is your starter. And like I said, Kubiak being out there, you can definitely tell the difference between he and Pete Carmichael, especially when it comes to the quarterbacks. There seems to be a lot more instruction going on, even right now when you're not doing full team drills. So Carr's looking comfortable. There seems to be a clear pecking order, which I'm sure gives him a little bit of peace of mind. And besides all the bad plays from Spencer Rattler today, there's not too much to nitpick on when it comes to the New Orleans Saints quarterback room.
If you're just tuning in to Inside the Trenches, you're listening to Mario Jerez. Mario comes on as a weekly guest. He covers all Louisiana sports for the most part. We talk LSU on here, Pels, Tulane if we gotta. Right now we're talking Saints OTAs. Lastly here, Mario, as we wrap this segment, the coaches. You know, a lot of times we're overemphasizing the players and what they're able to do and how they're adjusting. There are 3 new coaches on this offensive side of the ball. Actually 4. I'll mention 3, Clint Kubiak, Andrew Janiku, and also Keith Williams. How are the players receiving these guys, man, as OTAs is coming along here and these guys are adjusting to a new room as well?
It looks like they're receiving him pretty well. Whenever DA has been asked about Kubiak and I guess all the new offensive coaches you mentioned, he's talked a lot about accountability, like holding guys accountable in ways that I guess they were not held accountable last season. And then little things that you can already see are different from last year, things like motion that sound basic, but the Saints didn't do a lot of that last year. I'm sure that'll come into play when you talk about play action too later on in these practices. And then Taysom Hill, he's being utilized a lot differently. Big Fave. It's kind of weird to see him not taking any reps with the quarterbacks. And that's not to say he won't play under center at all this year. There seems to kind of be conflicting opinions about Taysom and how much quarterback he'll play, but he will be utilized out of the backfield a lot different, lining up at fullback, motioning out, being utilized maybe like Kyle Juszczyk is utilized in San Francisco. I think it's funny, like for years, so many people have been trying to make other players into Taysom Hill. Now you're trying to make Taysom Hill into the mold of another player. But obviously, Kubiak being there has the experience, would hopefully be able to make that happen. And it's a tough job with Taysom because you do want to get him his touches, but you also want to limit the contact and not like spam it, not overdo it, right? I think the key for Kubiak with Taysom is to be a little bit more creative, is to utilize him a little bit better. And I like kind of the new packages we're seeing Taysom Hill in, Big Fave. He might be the player that benefits the most out of Kubiak being in New Orleans.
I like that just check comparison, utilizing him like that. And I saw a couple of clips with Taysom Hill coming out of the backfield. This is going to be a fun offense to watch. Coach Clint Kubiak, brother, just have fun with us, man. You got some gadgets in place down here. Coach Allen could definitely use it well. Mario, thank you so much for joining us today, brother. Got to get you back, man. We got more stuff to talk about. Hey, it's Inside the Trenches. Y'all don't go anywhere. Stay tuned. ESPN New Orleans, 100.3, baby. Move your body. Hello. Are you a student athlete looking to take your career to the next level? Look no further than Conquer Sports Pros. That's right, Conquer Sports Pros. Our team of experts will get you guys on the right path to your student athlete journey in life. That's right, we have every position in football you need, and we also help out with other sports. At Conquer Sports Pros, you have everything from a list of consultation, training, and also media training. Yeah, that's right. When you take your career to the next level, play college and hopefully pro, you'll get lots of interviews. Call Conquer Sports Pros today. You can reach them at 504-319-6672 or visit marlonfavorite.com for more information. Hello, somebody. Hello, somebody. It's your boy Marlon Big Favorite. And when I'm hungry, I like to make my way to Small Sliders. 1635 Barataria Boulevard, Marrero, Louisiana. Simple on purpose. When I tell you their burgers are delicious, have some great sauce on them, I'm telling you, when you're just hungry and just need to grab a quick bite, this is the perfect place for you. Small Sliders. The customer service is nice. It's somewhere you can bring the family, hang out and chill, enjoy the atmosphere. Now I'm a big boy, so when I like to take my Small Sliders, I like to get the biggest smalls. Double patties, bacon, cheese, you name it. Just a delicious burger. And I like to top it off with my favorite, the cookies and cream milkshake. There are 3 delicious flavors: milkshake, chocolate, vanilla, and cookies and cream. Small Sliders. Simple on purpose. Y'all come on and slide through, baby. And let them know that you heard about them on Inside the Trenches with your boy Marlon Big Favorite. Watch out there now. Well, hello, it's Marlon Big Favorite with Inside the Trenches podcast. Are you looking for a brand new car? Or you're tired of what you're driving around in? Or you just need wheels? Well, if that's the case, you need to visit Montero Motors, 1512 North Causeway, Metairie, Louisiana. At Montero Motors, our buddy Alberto will get you in a vehicle that fits you that day with no problem. They have vehicles that are pre-owned. You can do a trade-in that day and ride off in something that day. Visit MonteroMotors.com for more information and let them know you heard about them on Inside the Trenches podcast. Hello.
Step Construction is here for you with a brand new offer. We now provide affordable storage sheds. Stop wasting your money on overpriced storage units and portable containers. Step Construction can provide you with a custom shed that will fit your budget and storage needs. So contact Step Construction today at 504-340-5809 for your own personal quote. Let us help you take the next step at Step Construction.
That's right. Come on. That's right. Welcome back to Inside the Trenches. It's your host, Marlon Big Favorite. I hope y'all are having safe travels as y'all making y'all way back home on a Tuesday. Hope did y'all enjoy y'all Memorial Day? I smelled the barbecue in the air. I was riding around throughout the beginning of the day, and I was smelling the folks barbecuing through the neighborhoods. I had a great time last night, right? You know, we had the night off, so perfect timing. It's me and my wife's anniversary yesterday. Went downtown to get something to eat and enjoy the night, and I hope y'all are enjoying y'all ride home. As I mentioned, it's Inside the Trenches. Remember, y'all need to get on that hot list. Make sure you text the word Big Fave, BIGFAV, to 94253. You could join that hot list right now to unlock access to mouthwatering food specials, complimentary game tickets, VIP to events, and more. Go ahead and sign up for that hot list, baby. And you won't regret it. I promise you won't. You'll get some text messages of everything coming up. CBS Sports did a top 10 coaches going into the 2024 season. A couple of their beat writers, and I'll name a couple of them and mention a few guys, few coaches, should I say. But what I found interesting was how consistently on this list Coach Brian Kelly was in the top 5, right? So he was on the top 5 on Danny Cannell's list, Chip Patterson's list. He was, he was 4. And on Bud Elliott's list, he was 7. And behind Mike Norvell at 6, Kyle Whittingham at 5, Utah, Ryan Day at 4, Steve Scalise, Texas at 3. Coach, now check this out. 2 on this list is Coach Keelan DeBoyer from Alabama. Well, at Alabama now, we all know that he came from Washington. That's interesting that him coming into the Wild Wild West of the SEC, being shot up there so quick, not taking away from his success with Michael Penix Jr. and how they were able to do out there on the Pacific coast. But, and then Kirby Smart's one on that list. I mean, get starting quarterback back, so on and so forth. Tom Fornelli has him at 3 as well. Only in front of him is Dabo Sweeney and Coach Kirby Smart. I see what a Coach Kirby Smart thing is in the play, but it's just crazy to think. On one hand, you have a guy like Dabo Sweeney, who really hadn't had a super successful season since Trevor Lawrence left. So why does he keep getting? It's just a pain. We'll just have to see. And here's my thing with Dabo, right? I'm not picking on Coach Sweeney. Cool cat. You could tell players really gravitated to him. But my thing with him is he doesn't want to play the game, right? He's one of those coaches that don't want to play the game. And even if you're going to play the game, you got to play it the right way. Like we play sound bites from Coach Kelly on this show talking about the NIL. If you're coming here to get paid, that's not what it is. Now, if you perform, you'll get paid, right? Like Will Campbell's getting paid. He performed. He came in, he got his little NIL, yeah. And the yeah just went up after. Look how much Jaden yeah went up. The yeah with the yeah. But look how much his NIL value went up. If you ball, hello somebody, you'll get the call. But I want to get back to this top coaches going into the 2024 season. Now, again, this is just predictions. These guys could only be judged on their careers, right? Like Dabo is 10 on Elliott's list, but he's 2 on another one, right? That type of stuff. But you look at rating these coaches, it has a lot to do with past performance, their current rosters, how well they matched up against other top-tier coaches. Okay, Coach Kelly lost to Mike Norvell twice. But he had Jerez coming off the edge, though, right? Had a running game, quarterback. It was a good team. Jaden got off in that game, too, now. You know what I'm saying? We were rolling, right? But, Jaden's out in Washington now with the Commanders, so there's nothing he can do. But, this is my whole thing with Coach Kelly. You have to really give credit where credit is due. You start looking at top-tier coaches. Here's a guy who comes from Notre Dame, right? What I respect most about Coach Kelly is his ability to adapt and adjust. He didn't force his way nor his culture on the players and the staff. He introduced his way and he adapted to the culture. I think we lose sight of how important that is. It is more important to meet people where they're as opposed to forcing your will or your idea or your way of life on a person. And I think that's one of those things we don't discuss a lot about Coach Kelly. Now, some of us don't know it, but I mean, just working for LSU Sports Radio, I see it. We had the deal where it was the alumni practice where they allowed us during fall ball to come on the sidelines, watch an entire practice. After Coach Kelly took 30 minutes to talk to us. And one thing that he said that really caught my attention, the first name he mentioned, the first person he talked about was Frank Wilson. Now, in South Louisiana, in terms of high school football, in terms of high school recruiting, man, Frank's known to be the guru to this, right? So it's knowing where your strengths are, knowing where your coach's strengths are. I think that makes Coach Kelly a top coach too, because you have to look at how this class of 2025 is shaping up. Some of the top players we have, his ability to adapt. Like, my first conversation with Coach Kelly was at this alumni thing I'm telling you guys about. Coach Frank introduced me. Coach Kelly, this big fave right here, man. He worked here with us with LSU Sports Radio here at West Banker too. Coach, tell him where you went. Oh, man. Coach Frank had me in the 1.5, baby. I said, Coach, you know what the one? Oh, Algiers. I was in the cutoff, man. They got some ballers in there. I said, from that day, I was already rocking with him, man, because I respect him as a coach. But, boy, when he started talking that Algiers, talking to the West Bank, that made my day for sure. Scholar was right there when we were just smiling from ear to ear because he gets it, right? Where you don't – what Coach Ed Ogeron was the culture, right? Here's a coach who's by skill set is a defensive line coach, right? But a great leader. You know, Coach Kelly is a great leader as well. Shouts out to Scott Woodward, man, for these great hires. Look at our baseball team turn things around because of Jay Johnson and his ability to turn, his responsibility as a coach to get this thing turned around. Shouts out to Coach Kim Mulkey. Last couple of years had some superstars. Just recently they hired Simone Augustus. Like, this team is doing this athletic program is doing everything in its ability to stay at the top of the A-ball. Kelly sets a 10-win season mark in LSU in 2 years. He come in with 10 wins. Mike Tomlin still has a job in the NFL right now because he's a good coach, but he's maintaining those 10 wins, a head coaching job. Because no matter how trash the Steelers may appear to be or how well they're not doing, that man has maintained 10 wins. As now, I don't know, eventually they may go to a different direction, but I just thought that it was very strategic how we are playing the portal. It is very strategic on how we're able to leverage. Louisiana isn't Texas, right? You may go to a LSU game, a big-time LSU game, and we were playing like Alabama when Saban was there, or we got a big SEC matchup against Georgia or something. We might have 2 billionaires, maybe a billionaire in our suites. Man, Texas A&M got 15 of them, right? Texas, Coach Steve Sarkisian, right? He down there with like 10 billion as a game. It's Texas. It's oil money, right? But we're able to have what we have here, the get Gordons, and get it good. Like, those are the world. Here at LSU, you have Ty Graves with Canes. Like, you have a core group of people that care about LSU football to do it, but Coach Kelly is being strategic. Him and his staff is being strategic on how they spending their money. We missed out on a D tackle a few weeks ago because he wanted all that bread. You can't get all that bread. You ain't proved you can get all that bread. Well, like, you need that bread in Will Campbell, who's proven, who's going to be the first lineman off of the board this year. This is this year's Joe Alt right here. And Will Campbell, Emory Jones right with him. I mean, it's just a different monster when you look at this. But shouts out to CBS Sports for this article, though. I like it. Man, 10 wins rolling. You have your Heisman Trophy winner under your belt. You got an excellent staff, guys like Cartaz Hankton and Coach Joe Salone on the defensive side of the ball. You got all them dogs back, Bo Davis. You have Coach Blake back in the building. You got Coach C. Raymond back in the building. I told him I could still backpedal. I could do the DB drills right now, Coach. Never played DB for you. Was on the defense with you. But, I got them soft feet, Coach. Boy, what was it there? What Xavier Thomas or Kyrie, one of them boys gonna smoke me on. I got that corner. I'm gonna get them about 5 yards. They still gonna burn me. It's Inside the Trenches. Y'all don't go anywhere. We got more right here on ESPN New Orleans, baby. Safe travels. Talk to y'all in a little bit. Enjoy the commercials. Are you a student athlete looking to take your career to the next level? Look no further than Conquer Sports Pros. That's right, Conquer Sports Pros. Our team of experts will get you guys on the right path to your student athlete journey in life. That's right, we have every position in football you need, and we also help out with other sports. At Conquer Sports Pros, you have everything from a list of consultation, training, and also media training. Yeah, that's right, when you take your career to the next level, play college and hopefully pro, you'll get lots of interviews. Call Conquer Sports Pros today. You can reach them at 504-319-6672 or visit marlonfavorite.com for more information. Hello, somebody. Are you looking for your dream home? Well, if that's the case, you need to contact Joe Picolo at Godwyn Realty, right here in New Orleans. Joe can put you in your dream home right away. Joe Picolo and the folks over at Godwyn Realty put you in the house that you need. Even if you're looking to invest in some property, they'll do an excellent job with that as well. Contact Joe today at 504-251-8341. Again, that phone number is 504-251-8341. And also contact Joel at joel.godwynrealty.com. No need to dream anymore. Godwyn Realty will put you in the dream house of your reality. Hello, somebody.
It's that boy Fred, host of FanView Podcast. Tune into the NOTN app, weekdays, 3:30 for the FanView Podcast. Go to NewOrleansTalkNetwork.com to watch more episodes of FanView Podcast. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and watch.
Listen up. Your customers, our listeners, could be hearing about your business right now. Yeah, right now. Don't miss out on the opportunity to advertise with NewOrleansTalkNetwork.com. Call our business department today at 504-475-4793 to hear about our great rates. NewOrleansTalkNetwork.com. We provide the people, you provide the business.
Hello, somebody. It's Marlon Big Favorite with Inside the Trenches podcast. Do you need a quick car wash? Well, if that's a yes, you need to visit Crown Car Wash, 1336 Stumpf Boulevard, Gretna, Louisiana, on the West Bank, baby. Crown's the best. You get a spotless wash, nice clean tires, reasonable pricing, and free vacuuming. My favorite part about Crown Car Wash, they open 24/7. That's right, 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. You can visit Crown Car Wash on the West Bank, baby, and let them know you heard about them on Inside the Trenches podcast with Marlon Big Favorite. Watch out there now. Oh yeah, baby. Oh yeah, we rolling this Inside the Trenches. I'm your host, Marlon Big Favorite. Thank y'all so much for tuning in. And y'all can follow me on X at BigFave504. Be sure to check us out here on New Orleans Talk Network. This entire episode and all of our episodes, full episodes are on the New Orleans Talk Network stream. Be sure to get with them on YouTube. You could go to the Inside the Trenches with Marlon Favorite YouTube as well. Get you some shorts on there. Check out some of the stuff. My music videos up there. Y'all can check it out with Chopper Style, Chopper Style, Cupid Shuffle, all of that good stuff up there on my YouTube page. And remember, y'all, I want to mention this now, and I'll mention it again in the next segment. We are going to a summer schedule, right? So the way that summer schedule will work for our listeners, I love y'all so much. I want y'all to make sure y'all stick with us throughout the summer. On Mondays, we will do our live remotes, right? So 6 to 8 will be on air. Tuesday through Friday, we will be on ESPN's on-demand app. Make sure you download the ESPN app, or you can go to ESPN1003.com. Click the on-air tab, Inside the Trenches, pull up all our episodes. We'll have the exclusive interviews up. I'll have my LSU segments where me and Preston Guy from TigerBait.com, we're talking exclusive LSU. We'll have the Saints, well, it might be me and Mario or one of the Saints players. We'll do an exclusive there. Y'all can check out those. We'll still have the shorts and all of that stuff going. We will be back for Saints training camp 5 days a week right here on this station. But it's the summertime. My birthday coming up. Nah, my birthday is coming up, but we're just doing that to be sure to give you guys the best product. So this summer, we're going to have some fun with the show. I wanted to talk a little bit about, and this is probably going to change throughout the summer as well, as these teams shape up. OTAs will be over. We'll have a better look at all the teams. But I was just being an internet surfer, checking out some stuff, and I ran across another CBS article I thought was cool. And it's a question for you guys that they're asking, which category is your team in? Let me know. Y'all hit my Twitter up, as I mentioned. I keep on saying Twitter, formerly known as Twitter X, right? At BigFave504. So here's how they broke it down. This is according to Cody Benjamin, his thoughts on how these teams are broken down. Now, the evenly balanced teams, and don't judge it by their records, they're just talking about skill sets, is the Arizona Cardinals, Atlanta Falcons, the Dallas Cowboys, the Broncos, Las Vegas Raiders, the LA Chargers, the Minnesota Vikings, Seattle, the Bucks, and Washington. Now, all of those teams I mentioned either have a young quarterback or an elusive quarterback. Dak Prescott for the Cowboys name was in the MVP hat. Kyler Murray with a good receiving core. He has Marvin Harrison Jr., a young elusive receiver. Atlanta has Kirk Cousins, but I see why they say that Atlanta's evenly balanced. Not saying that they're evenly good. It's just a balance, position by position. You have your quarterback in Kirk Cousins. Bijan Robinson is probably, based off of last year, in the top 5 quarterbacks. They have an even, I'm going to say, ball-catching core. I won't even say receiving core because you have Kyle Pitts, but then you also add a guy like Money from Tulane's very own, but he was in Chicago. So their roster's kind of where it needs to be. And defensively, they don't look horrible. Now, Denver, I get it. I mean, Patrick Surtain is probably one of the better corners in our league, but you have Bo Nix. I'm assuming, and this is stuff, just reports I'm getting from camp for Denver. I mean, from OTAs with Denver, like, basically, Drew Lock isn't performing he's not having a better OTA than Bo Nix, right? And then, like I said, I mentioned some of the highlights on defense. Now, the Vikings is interesting, right? Because you have J.J. McCarthy, a rookie quarterback. He did just win a national championship with Miami, but you know what they had around him. They do have defense. So that's just to kind of talk about some of the evenly balanced teams, right? Now you start looking at teams that are defensively geared. The Panthers. You look at the Panthers' defensive line, right? You got Burns. You have big boy D. Brown. You got some size on that interior line, so I get that defensively. Cleveland. A team like Cleveland, I mean, Myles Garrett is arguably one of the better defensive ends in our league. At any given moment, he can bust out a 2-3 sack game and have a double-digit sack year. The Patriots, led by my linebackers, now the head coach, Gerard Mayo, you know he's going to have that team right defensively, right? Now, before I get to the Saints, they did mention New York. The Giants have a decent defense, and I like what the Steelers have in their defensive core. You know, you have Patrick Queen there now. You have Jackson from LSU. Now the Saints, we were talking about how their defense looked last year and the potential that it has this year. Tyrann Mathieu, any given season, can give you 3 to 4 interceptions a year, right? Then you have a veteran leader in their secondary in him. You still have my main man, Demario Davis at the linebacker position. These last 2 years for the Saints, in my opinion, has been his best year. You know, from the perspective of being able to be productive all around. You are like second in sacks on the team from the linebacker position. You're disruptive. You're communicating. I mean, that's big when you look at it from that perspective. So the Saints, with the exception of Cleveland and potentially Pittsburgh this year, I think they might have one of the better defenses in that bunch that they mentioned. Now, here are the teams that are offensively geared. Watch. The Bills, Chicago, the Bengals, the Lions, Green Bay, right? Pay attention. Stick with it. The Colts, Jacksonville, L.A., the Rams, by the way, Miami, the Eagles, and the Titans. All of those teams they're saying are offensively geared. Let's talk about those quarterbacks, right? Josh Allen with the Bills. The Bears have Caleb Williams. Boy, I'm telling you, Mike, what they're doing with Caleb Williams, they just giving him Offensive Rookie of the Year. I can't wait to see this kid. We had some looks of him from OTAs, but I can't wait to some of these geared up defenses he go against, right? And it's not to say he's not going to do good, but they just putting a lot on him. The Bengals probably, we were talking about earlier in the show, Jamar Chase and T. Higgins. With those two guys getting their deals figured out here at some point this summer, you got to know that offense is potent. Jared Goff, now we're getting into Detroit. Jared Goff led his team to the playoffs last year, did well. We have Amon St. Brown. You have Gibbs at the running back position. I mean, Detroit does have an elusive offense, and we saw that last year in the playoffs. Green Bay, Jordan Love, but I'm telling you, it does pay to have your guy behind a MVP in Aaron Rodgers. His first 2 years in the league, now he has his own weapons around him, his own production. We just talked about earlier in the show, Michael Pittman signing a big contract. Man, down in Jacksonville, all of those weapons. You look at the receiving core in Jacksonville and Trevor Lawrence at quarterback. I get it with the Rams, right? Matthew Stafford is one of those quarterbacks in the system that they run. Whomever they have in the weapons category, they're going to be exceptionally well with. Miami, you know that wide receiving core, Waddle. You have Odell Beckham in that receiving core now. Tyreek Hill, a lot of explosiveness. Tua could do his thing. Aikman's the fastest running back in the league, right? So Devon Aikman, so they're right in that area. Jalen Hurts has his weapons. I mean, as long as A.J. Brown and how CL says Slim Reaper and Devontae Smith, as long as those guys are there, they're there as well. And I'm interested in seeing what Will Levis does with Tennessee and that whole Tajay Spears and Tony Pollard backfield. That's going to be an interesting watch. Lastly here, the teams with the total package. I'm going to mention the Jets first, right? They got other teams on here, but the Jets, and the Jets you trust, right? You have Garrett Wilson at the receiver position. Aaron Rodgers is back, right? Defensively, too much sauce. Sauce Gardner. I talk about how well a lockdown corner Patrick Surtain is. You talk about the Jets too. San Francisco, probably the team on here outside of Baltimore, is the for sure total package teams, right? If you look at how that offense ran for San Francisco last year, along with Baltimore. In the last two teams I'm going to mention, we're going to go down to H-Town. C.J. Stroud, boy, Carolina messed up on that, let him get to Houston. Defensively, they got some young, good lockdown talent, and I do see why Houston is a total package. And, of course, Patrick Mahomes. I mean, he's still the best quarterback in the league. He just got Xavier Worthy. He's going to run pretty fast for him, and I think if you look at what Andy Reid's able to do with him, he's pretty good. You got Patrick Mahomes. He's still Magic Mahomes, baby. You can't take that away from him. So I do agree with all of those teams. I have a couple questions behind the Jets, but those other four teams for sure, total package. It's Inside the Trenches, baby. Don't go nowhere. We got one more segment. I'm going to get y'all home smooth, baby. Have ourselves a good time on ESPN New Orleans, 100.3 FM. Hello. Hello, somebody. It's Marlon Favorite with Inside the Trenches podcast. Do you need a quick car wash? Well, if that's a yes, you need to visit Crown Car Wash, 1336 Stumpf Boulevard, Gretna, Louisiana, on the West Bank, baby. Crown's the best. You get a spotless wash, nice clean tires, reasonable pricing, and free vacuuming. My favorite part about Crown Car Wash, they open 24/7. That's right, 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. You can visit Crown Car Wash on the West Bank, baby, and let them know you heard about them on Inside the Trenches podcast with Marlon Favorite. Watch out there now. Are you a student athlete looking to take your career to the next level? Look no further than Conquer Sports Pros. That's right, Conquer Sports Pros. Our team of experts will get you guys on the right path to your student athlete journey in life. That's right, we have every position in football you need, and we also help out with other sports. At Conquer Sports Pros, you have everything from a list of consultation, training, and also media training. Yeah, that's right. When you take your career to the next level, play college and hopefully pro, you'll get lots of interviews. Call Conquer Sports Pros today. You can reach them at 504-319-6672 or visit marlonfavorite.com for more information. Hello, somebody. Well, hello, it's Marlon Favorite with Inside the Trenches podcast. Are you looking for a brand new car? Or you're tired of what you're driving around in? Or you just need wheels? Well, if that's the case, you need to visit Montero Motors, 1512 North Causeway, Metairie, Louisiana. At Montero Motors, our buddy Alberto will get you in a vehicle that fits you that day with no problem. They have vehicles that are pre-owned. You could do a trade-in that day and ride off in something that day. Visit MonteroMotors.com for more information and let them know you heard about them on Inside the Trenches podcast. Hello. He has the heart of a champion.
Now New Orleans has a choice. Download the New Orleans Talk Network app for your mobile device or listen at www.neworleanstalknetwork.com.
Well, as I love to say on this show, time flies by when you're having yourself a good time. It's Inside the Trenches. I'm your host, Marlon Favorite, and I appreciate you guys for listening in today. Shouts out to our guest Mario Jerez for coming on and talking a little bit of Saints OTAs with us. I know we'll get CL on later on this week, and we'll just keep this thing flowing the right way. Remember, y'all guys can follow me at BigFave504. We also want to take this time to thank today's show sponsor, Small Sliders, for all that they do. And we do want to take this moment to thank our other sponsors for the show as well. We want to give a shout out to Godwyn Realty. Definitely want to shout out Montero Motors. In addition to that, we definitely have to shout out Crown Car Wash and Conquer Sports Pros. New Orleans Talk Network. Remember, y'all can go to New Orleans Talk Network for more shows on the outside of mine. You got Red Lipstick Talk, Fan View. You also have, I mentioned Red Lipstick Talk already. The Live Line. There's Bible study here. It's tons of fun and interesting stuff to check out here aside from Inside the Trenches. All of that is on their YouTube streaming now. You can also go to the Inside the Trenches YouTube with Marlon Favorite. When you head there, you will see all of the shorts. Me and Tarek and Mike was just trying to be creative, so my page has most of the shorts, and their page has our full interviews and some shorts as well, and y'all can check that out. I spent this entire show talking about my favorite thing, and that's in terms of sports, is football, but I also want to make sure that y'all are checking out right now on TNT. The Mavs are taking on the Timberwolves. That's, again, to check out. As we know, the winner of this series will be taking on the Boston Celtics. That should be a fun watch for you guys as well. Speaking of fun watches, I thought that this show is known for sports and pop culture. I'm usually serenading you guys with my music and, our guests' music, but I thought that it would be cool since it's the summer. The kids are out of school now. We look for activities indoors sometimes, so I thought of a couple of my favorite football movies. If it's not already some of y'all saw already, a few that y'all should check out. So one of the movies on my list, one of my favorite movies to watch in terms of football movies, is Waterboy. I thought Waterboy was fun to watch. Adam Sandler usually put together really good hard-filled movies, but on that one, it featured South Louisiana, so that's what I liked about it the most. I want to say they shot that movie in Pinesville at Louisiana College. You can kind of tell by the colors, but Waterboy, the 1998 film, is definitely one of my favorites to watch. Next on my favorite football movies to watch is Any Given Sunday. I thought Al Pacino took his role from Scarface, like that intensity, and made it into a head football coach. You think of guys like Jamie Foxx in that movie, LL Cool J, like the energy from that movie. Like we always talk about when Jamie Foxx tell a story about when LL really had hit him. My coach actually featured in that movie and helped with the coordination of the football scenes in that movie, and that is Coach Pat O'Hara. Spent some time working on that and a couple other movies. Worked with Adam Sandler and Al Pacino and them for quite some time now. Also on my list is Remember the Titans. Remember the Titans, to me, was one of those movies, in my opinion. It talked about a lot of barriers in the United States, some of the stuff we're still dealing with, but even more back in the 60s and that time of segregation and Jim Crow. Denzel, probably one of his better projects in terms of those type of movies. The role he played was huge, and I just like even Woody Harris. I mean, Woody Harris did his thing in the New Edition series too. But even just the way that they depicted unity, right? That's one thing that football represents: unity. You can be from all creeds. I mean, I had teammates that were Islanders from like spoke Tonga and from those different places, and spent a lot of time at the University of USC or even Hawaii, University of Hawaii, right? Just different culture. Look at Tua Tagovailoa, right? That's just what this sport represents. Everybody coming together, and that's one thing that Remember the Titans really talked about, right? The Longest Yard, Burt Reynolds, Adam Sandler. The Longest Yard was one of those movies. First of all, it was a remake, right? The original Longest Yard was made in 1974 with Burt Reynolds, and then Burt Reynolds then again played in the classic with Nelly and Adam Sandler and Terry Crews and Chris Rock. It was funny. Of course, I'm gonna mention two of Adam Sandler's movies. They're always funny and really interesting. Now, another football movie that I really like to watch is Friday Night Lights. Now, it isn't my favorite. I'm going to reveal my favorite movie last. But Friday Night Lights, first and foremost, it dropped my freshman year at LSU. So I'm fresh out of high school football. By the way, shouts out to the Taylor brothers. One of my co-hosts, Brandon Taylor, who's with me on LSU Sports Radio, me, him, and Hunt, and his brother Curtis Taylor, who looks just like Booby Williams. Like, if you want to win, put Booby in, right? I'm just laughing at how we used to because he really did look like. What's your boy from Antoine Fisher? I can't think of. Is it what's his name again? Derek Luke? No, I'm saying his name wrong. He played a couple of movies. I got a brain freeze over here, but I thought that Friday Night Lights, what it represented was an opportunity for you to see inside what high school football looks like if you're not already a follower of the deal, right? That's what I really appreciated about Friday Night Lights. It was familiar to everyone who has been in this realm, right? Who played high school football. It definitely hit it. Now, my last two favorite movies, and a couple of honorable mentions if we have some time I may mention, but my second favorite movie, I got a new favorite movie. I'm going to tell you about that too. I want y'all to check that out too. But my second favorite movie is The Program. The Program, to me, is the most realistic college football movie. Like, it's really up there. Like, the way that they wrote that script was almost to the T. Even the different characters, like you had your jocks who weren't as super intelligent. You had those guys. You had your jocks who may have been a little intelligent, but might have been taking enhancement drugs. You had your all-star quarterback. You had your all-star incoming rookie and Omar Epps. He came in as this superstar. Halle Berry played in that movie. Just every little piece and part of that movie was cool. The Program, if y'all hadn't watched it yet and you love football, that is my second favorite. And one movie just knocked it off the list. I'll mention that one in a second. But The Program has definitely been one of my favorite movies to watch, and it's a cool film to check out. Lastly, drum roll. It's fake drum roll. But anyway, my last movie on my list is When the Game Stands Tall. Jim Caviezel, Alex Lowen, and yours truly even principled in it, baby. That was my first major role at that time. I was playing, quick story here as we wrap here on Inside the Trenches, I was playing for the New Orleans Voodoo, and it just so happened, shouts out to Duke at the Duke Academy, Duke and Ryan Manali, they introduced me to the producers from When the Game Stands Tall. I matched the role of a big player that they needed. I auditioned for the role and made it, man. They even put me in a preview. It was a great experience. Had an opportunity to work with Jim Caviezel, Passion of the Christ, excellent actor, Alex Lowen. My boy Cedarius played in that Cedarius Blaine. He played in that movie. Is also a friend of the show. The actor I was talking about, I had it right. Derek Luke was in both of those movies we talked about. But just thinking back to working on When the Game Stands Tall at the time in New Orleans, we were filming a lot of movies and a lot of that stuff was going on. So I actually did 3 movies, but I principled in that one. I did 22 Jump Street. That was a cool movie, nice little honorable mention. And Focus. I thought Focus was pretty cool as well. But my favorite movie of all time is actually a movie I principled in, When the Game Stands Tall. Check it out. You can check it out everywhere. You get it on DVD, on your movie channel. You can search it on your deal. My character name in there was Buster Matthews. I had a nice little speaking role, and it was cool. So those are some summer football movies y'all could check out this summer while y'all kids are on break. Pop that on, really fun for the family. It's a nice spiritual movie too, like it was a lot of it's heartfelt family type stuff, but it was off the chain. Well, that does it, y'all, for another episode of Inside the Trenches. Remember, we'll be back 5 days a week. January, basically the start, there's July 29th or whenever training camp is, we'll start our show back 5 days a week. Y'all stay tuned for our summer schedule. We'll have most of our shows on demand, but every Monday we live. We're going to have fun, special guests, tons of music, just a great time. It's Inside the Trenches with Marlon Favorite. Love y'all so much for checking us out, and we'll be back right here on ESPN New Orleans. Have a good one.